Hi everyone, new lesson for you. This is actually the last actual lesson of new material that we have this year in geometry. So here we go. This is on surface area and volume. Again, it's a review. So we're just going to get right into it. These formulas are here for you to help you as you go through IXL. Again, we're just grading the IXL, not the notes. So everything is labeled for you here. For example, I'll walk you through rectangular prisms. SA stands for surface area, V is volume. And then as you can see here in this image, they've labeled length, width, and height. Those are usually interchangeable. Height is always going to be the straight up and down at a right angle. So the formula you see here is for surface area 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. And then for volume, it's just going to be length times width times height. So surface area would be like gift wrap. Volume would be if it was like an aquarium and you had to put water in it. So we're going to be talking about rectangular prisms and cubes, other prisms like triangular, cylinders, pyramids, cones, and spheres. Okay. So let's get right into it. Number one, what is the volume of this triangular prism? That is actually a pyramid, so I will fix that on your notes, but I did not catch that until just now. So, what is the volume of this triangular pyramid? So, volume is 1/3 big B times H. So, this 15 is the H, and big B is going to be the base of this triangle. So that's 1/2 little b times little h. So we have to find the area of this triangle first, because that's going to be the area of the base of this pyramid. So it seems kind of weird we're going to have two different numbers for h. 1/2 base, that's 9, times height, which is 8. Plug that into my calculator to get 36. Now that is what I'm going to take and plug into the big B there. So now I have volume equals 1/3 big B. So that's the area of the base, which is that triangle, which is 36 times the height of the pyramid itself, which is 15. Calculate that, and that is 180 cubic feet. Okay, tough one to start with, but that's okay. Again, with this, I just went through IXL till I got an 80. And these are the questions I had to answer. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what you're going to have to do. So what is the volume? So this is a rectangular prism. So our volume is length times width times height. So now we just label that's length, that's width, that's height. And then just plug it in. Length is 19, width is 6, height is 14. And then all we're doing is multiplying those numbers together. 19, 6, and 14. That gives us 1,596, and that'll be cubic yards. Okay. Number 3, what is the surface area of this sphere? Use pi is approximately equal to 3.14 and round your answer to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so from the formula sheet, we know the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. So that's going to be r. So we have 4, and instead of pi, we're using 3.14. and then the radius is 16 squared. So I'm going to plug it in just like that. 4 times 3.14 times 16 squared. And that gives me 3,215 and 36 hundredths. So I'm already at my hundredths. And since that's surface area, that'll be square feet. Next one, what is the volume of this cylinder? Again, we're still using 3.14 when we have anything circular. So this is pi r squared h. So our height will be right here, straight up and down, and our radius is coming out from the center to the end. So now we'll just substitute those values in. So that's 3.14 for pi, 16 squared for the radius, and 20 for the height. Make sure you're only squaring the 16. So you plug it in just like that. 3.14 times 16 squared times 20. Pretty big number, but that makes sense. 16 and 20 are pretty relatively large as well. So that'll give me 16,076 and 8/10. Volume is cubic feet. Right, what is the volume? So this is a prism. So we did one like this before. Volume equals base times height. The base of this is going to be that triangle. So we want to find that base first. So base is going to be 1/2 8 times 5, which will be 20. So I'm going to substitute that in for that b there. And then I know the height, even though it looks like the width, the height between the bases is 14. So that's going to be 20 times 14, which will give us 280. I knew that, but sometimes you get nervous, you need a calculator. 280 cubic millimeters. Okay, another surface area of a sphere. We did one like this before, same idea. Surface area is 4 pi r squared. So that 9, because it's going from the center out, is the radius. So we have 4 times 3.14 times 9 squared. So that is 1,000. You don't need commas. 1,017 and 36 hundredths yards squared. So all this is identifying what figure it is, using the right formula, figuring out the measurements, and plugging it in. Okay, so these two are a little bit longer, so I gave us more space for that. They require a couple more steps, so you can totally do it. So let's read through it. The volume of this rectangular prism is 5,580 cubic centimeters. What is the surface area? So notice we're missing this length right here. So we're going to have to find that first and then use that to find the surface area. So the volume is length times width times height. So I would have to multiply all three of these together. So they already tell us what that value is. So 5,500, use the space down here. 5,580 equals A times 31 times 9. So if I divide both sides by 31 times 9, that's going to give me the value of A. So that tells me that A equals 20. So I'll fill that in here, 20 centimeters. So it's the first thing you have to do. That's not going to be your answer. That just gives us that other length. And now we have to use that to find the surface area. So the formula that we're using for surface area of a rectangular prism is 2 length times width plus 2 length times height plus 2 width times height. So let's just label that length, width, and height. So now we have 2 times length, 20, times width, 31. I'll just put these in parentheses so you see the differentiation. 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. So notice the number 20 goes with 31 and 9. 31 goes with 9 and 20, how they like all trade off a little bit. Now I will plug that all in. All right, so our surface area is 2,158 square centimeters. Totally fine. So again, you worked backwards to solve for that missing length and then use that missing length to help you find the surface area, which is what the question was asking us for. All right, number 8, the surface area of this cube, cube, is 3,456 square units. What is the value of U? So the surface area of a cube is 6s squared. That comes from there being 6 sides, like if you were to think of dice. And if you do the side squared, that gives you this area here. So since they're giving us the surface area, 3,456 equals 6s squared. We want to find s. First, I'll divide by 6 on both sides. And that gives me 576. But that's s squared. So I need to take the square root of both sides. That's what undoes that. And I get 24. You want to know what's the value of u. That represents the side. So u equals 24. All right, so notice I was kind of like halfway in between, and now we're back to more regular looking questions. So when you get to questions like this, don't just give up because you're not going to be able to see every type of problem. Push through, look back at this video, reach out for help. You can do it. All right, back to more regular-ish problems. What is the volume of the cylinder? Okay, so again, we're rounding pi. So volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So here's the diameter. So that means the radius is going to be 8. Here's the height of 12. So let's plug it all in. 3.14 times 8 squared times 12. 3.14 times 8 squared times 12. 2,411 and 52 hundredths. And that is cubic meters. All right, a cone. Haven't done a cone in a while. The surface area of the cone, so the formula for that is going to be pi r times r plus L, where this is r, that's our radius, and this is L, the slant height. So kind of like the hypotenuse. So the surface area of the cone is 1,130.4 square inches. What is the slant height? So we want to solve for L. Okay, so that's going to be 3.14 times 10, the radius, times 10 plus L, which is what we don't know. So I'm going to divide both sides by 31.4. So 1130.4 divided by 31.4, 36. Subtract 10 on both sides. 26 equals L. So the slant height is 26. Okay, 4 more. The volume in this bus is astronomical. The volume in this sphere is, so here's your formula, 4/3 pi r cubed. All right, so we know the volume is 3,050. Why do I keep pretending I have room? Use that approximation. Okay, so I'll plug that in, times r cubed. Okay, so I'm going to divide both sides by 4/3 times 3.14. I'll just do it in one step. So 3052.08 divided by 4/3 times 3.14 gives me 729 equals r cubed. So we're going to have to take the cube root of that. And for that, you can just press math 4, enter. So that's a little aside there. And then type in 729. You get the radius is 9. That's 9 millimeters. All right. Moving right along. What is the surface area? So the surface area is 2 length times width plus 2 length times height plus 2 width times height. And we can call this length, width, and height. Some pretty big numbers, totally fine. Here we go. 2 times 44 times 29 plus 2 times 29 times 32 plus 2 times 44 times 32. Doesn't matter the order that it goes in. Because multiplication is commutative and so is addition. Alright, I got 7224 square millimeters. What is the volume? Astronomical. So the volume is length times width times height, but we notice that all of those numbers are the same. So it's the same as a side cubed. So I can just do 47 cubed. And that gives me 103,823 cubic millimeters. All right, and then finally our last one, the surface area of this cone. Okay, so back to that, surface area of this cone, our formula, pi r times r plus L. Same thing, so this is r, and we have to find L. So 5,275.2 equals 3.14 times 21 times 21 plus L. Divide both sides by what we can get rid of. So that's 5,275.2 divided by 3.14 times 21. That gives me 80. So 80 equals 21 plus L. So I'll subtract 21, get my slant height of 59 meters. All right, so I know that was a relatively long lesson, but that is our last IXL and kind of lesson for the year. So that's the IXL we want you to practice. Don't worry about submitting your notes. As long as you follow along and that's helpful for you, great. Yeah, do a great job. Let us know if you have any questions. Bye.